Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Ahlulbayt at-Tayyibin at-Tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajr. Merciful Allah, spare me long enough so that I may complete my mission. In remembrance of his undying love and loyalty for his and our master Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, strengthen your love and loyalty with salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The second, in remembrance of his sister al-Masa'ib Zainab, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli. And the third, in allegiance and honor of our current Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli. Now, when we hear the phrase attacks on the family, and we hear the word attack, people imagine something to be very loud, aggressive, and forceful. It's an attack. Examples might be divorce or broken families, or disrespect between spouses and arguments. But the most effective attack on the family doesn't happen after it has formed. It stops the family from forming in the first place. The attack comes at a stage where the youth questions himself, why should I even get married? And are they even prepared for marriage? If the next generation believe that marriage is optional and family is secondary and sacrifice is oppressive, then the family unit will weaken. Not from hatred, but from being taught the wrong values. The first attack on marriage is to quietly downgrade marriage. So it's no longer a part of adulthood, a central part. It just becomes another lifestyle choice. If marriage is no longer honored, then people delay it. They look for ways to escape. By saying, for example, I'm keeping my options open, or I'm waiting for the perfect person, and that perfect person never comes. But not everyone who is unmarried is at fault. There are some people who desire marriage and are sincerely waiting, or they may have some obstacles in the way. But there's a difference between valuing marriage and wanting it and a society that makes or teaches that marriage itself is not central. What are we teaching our children to feel about marriage? Do they see it as noble, as one of life's great purposes? Or do they only hear the jokes and the complaints and see the bitterness of marriage? See, they often hear the negatives, the difficult spouse, the costly wedding, the disagreements. But do they also hear the beauty of companionship and the dignity of building a home and the honor of becoming a husband, a wife, a father, or a mother? If all we show them is the burden and all they hear is the cost, then how can we blame them for not wanting to take that responsibility and not wanting to bother at all? The second attack is much deeper. It's where society has redefined success away from the family. Success is now career, wealth, property, traveling, independence, and so on and so forth. What about marriage and family? You see, people will only accept that if it doesn't disrupt or disturb their main purpose, their selfish desire of money, career, and so on. Then they'll settle for marriage as long as it's on the sidelines. We often say that we value family. But what do we actually celebrate? We celebrate when children get into a good university, or when they buy their first house, or when they get that promotion, or they earn a big sum of money. That's what we actually feel proud about, and we show them our pride. Now, I'm not saying education and career and money are not important. No, they are very important, but they should serve the family. They should not define the family or replace the family. The real question is not whether our child can earn, but whether our child can build. Build what? Build a home with trust, with respect, with honor. To build a home that has, that where children feel protected in that home, emotionally stable and loved. The third attack is the idea that marriage means losing freedom. We often hear it. People say, don't get tied down. Don't lose your freedom. Don't let anyone restrict you. Now, no one is saying to be a slave or to accept abuse. But a society that now confuses healthy sacrifice with oppression is a problem. If we think that responsibility means that we are imprisoned, or if we have this notion that if I compromise then I am weak, then these are the attacks that cause the family to crumble. Marriage requires chosen limitation. To marry is not to marry means to stop living as a single person. To accept that your decisions affect other people directly and vice versa. Now, to a selfish soul, that sounds like a loss. But to a mature soul, that's growth. A society that now worships freedom struggles to maintain and sustain marriage, because marriage itself requires interdependence. Not independence, interdependence. So it means that someone will say that I will not make decisions based only on myself, and I will carry responsibility even when I'm tired, because I know that that will affect someone else directly, or many people, even the children. Now, we must be honest with ourselves. Have we raised our children to sacrifice? Have we raised our children to carry responsibility or to carry out their duties even when they don't want to? When someone is raised to worship their own comfort, then marriage feels like an attack. Then every inconvenience is oppression. And every disagreement is toxic. And every duty seems unfair. Marriage becomes impossible. Not because marriage is broken, but because we were never formed for it. This is why families must teach that responsibility is not the enemy of happiness, and sacrifice is not the enemy of love, and duty is not the enemy of freedom. Sometimes duty is what protects love when feelings become tired. Sometimes sacrifice is what makes love real. And sometimes the most beautiful freedom is the freedom to do, not to do whatever you want, but the freedom to make a choice about what is right and to stick to it. So those are the first attacks. Number 1, marriage is made unimportant. Number 2, success is redefined away from the family. And number 3, sacrifice is made to look like a loss. But if someone still manages to get through these attacks, there are more waiting. And the other attacks, one of them is that we are not being prepared for marriage. This is one of the most shocking things about modern life. We prepare for everything, for exams, for driving tests, for holidays, for everything. We spend months preparing, some people even years, preparing for a one-day event, which is the wedding. Yet what about life after the wedding? What about that 50, 60, 70 years that come after that one day? Have we prepared for it? Let that sink in. We prepare more seriously for a wedding. The venue, the food, the decor, flowers, photographers, guest list, and we spend months. But have we prepared ourselves for marriage after that one-day event? Marriage is very difficult because it blends many different things together, like emotion, psychology, money, intimacy, communication, family, expectations, habits, and much, much more. It's one of the most complex responsibilities that a person can enter, yet society treats it as instinctive. As if affection and love alone will teach people how to build a home. Now, this is pure negligence. If we prepare our children just for school, exams, money, and so on, and not for marriage, we are setting them up for failure. Marriage preparation must be normalized. Not for people with problems. We shouldn't just address it when people come to us with problems. They should be prepared before marriage even begins, so those problems are reduced or do not exist. And when I say don't exist, that's they do exist. They will always exist. But that's part of the next step. The next step is the skills gap. Without preparation means we all lack the skills to run this marriage. See, marriage doesn't fail because people do not care, but because they lacked the skill behind that care and love. We never learn to disagree well. We never learn to listen without preparing a counter-attack. We never learn to apologize without defending ourselves. And we never learn to speak while upset without humiliating the other person. Conflict is not the problem. As I said, all marriages will face conflicts. This is normal. So conflict is not the problem. What matters is whether the conflict ends in understanding or in wounds. Whether there is repair or there is silence. And whether there is closeness after these disagreements or resentment. And whether this teaches our children dignity in disagreement or whether it convinces them that marriage and love are unsafe. A husband and wife may disagree about money, children, time, chores, priorities, and that's normal. But when the majority of disagreements turn into shouting and disrespect and silence, then what we are actually doing are we are teaching our children that conflict is an issue and we cannot escape it and we cannot work through it. We must stop blaming youngsters as well. It's not the youngsters' problem or the youth of today that they are not getting married. We as the elders, we look at them and say, why aren't they getting married? What's the problem? Oh, they must be the problem. Now, some people, yes, they are unprepared for marriage because they've never seen a good marriage being modeled. That's where we step in to show them how marriage should be, what they should expect, and how they can work through these conflicts and disagreements. They shouldn't just see that a father is someone who provides yet is absent. When I say absent, yes, we all come home as fathers, but are we really home? Or is our mind elsewhere? And they shouldn't see mothers who serve without any kind of appreciation. Just because a couple has not been divorced, it does not mean that the marriage is healthy. People can live together under one roof and look married, but there could be a world of distance between them. And our children see and feel that. Do you think they feel safe? Do you think then they say, I also want to get married? Or do they fear marriage and find an excuse? Oh, I'm still studying. Oh, I still have to do my master's and then my PhD and then... You see, parents must not only stay married, but they must model a perfect or healthy marriage. Children are always watching how we speak, how we disagree, whether or how we apologize, and whether the father honors the mother and whether the mother respects the father. So if we want to prepare the next generation for marriage, we cannot only just give lectures. We must become those examples. And not perfect examples, because no one is perfect. But that's where the beauty comes in. Not for them to never see a disagreement or to never see an argument, but for them maybe to witness these things, but to see how we move through them with dignity and respect and honor. How those disagreements which seem to have broken the marriage, they can now repair it with with conflict resolution. So what skills must we be teaching? First is emotional regulation. Because a person who cannot control their anger or who uses silence for days to punish the other person, or who needs to win every argument, they feel like they have to win, even when they're wrong. No, I have to find a way to get one above her or him. Or a person who spends and speaks and reacts without self-control, this person is not ready for marriage. If we expect other people to tolerate us all the time, then I'm sorry, but we are not ready for marriage. We should teach parenting before children arrive. Many of us only think of it once the child is born, in our lap, and then we suddenly think, oh, what does it mean to be a parent? Parenting changes everything. It changes your sleep, the money that you have, the time that you have, the wife's body, the husband's responsibilities, and it even changes the marriage. Many times you hear, oh, after we had our kid, the romance died. We hear this, we see it in movies. Why? Why does the romance die after we have a child? Because we were not prepared to have that child. So now we are overwhelmed and we sacrifice our other duties towards one another in order to serve the child. Preparation is not about knowing every single future scenario, but having the skills and the principles to be able to work through those scenarios when they present themselves. You see, you can have all the experience in the world, but if you lack the principles, then you fail at every test that comes. An example I just gave, I must win the argument. If I'm upset, then I can say anything because I'm upset. My spouse should already know what is, required or what is needed or what I want. These kinds of selfish thoughts or beliefs is what ruins the marriage. Another major attack is the lie that the right marriage should work naturally. We often think that if we've married the right person, then there should be no problem. No conflicts, no disagreements, no arguments, no cloudy days. But this isn't true. This isn't true. First of all, no one is perfect. We have to understand that. And the second thing is that even if they seem perfect, sometimes stresses, outside stresses from life, can affect the person, and they can react in a way that isn't normal. This belief actually destroys patience. It makes us impatient with life and impatient with one another. And then any little disagreement that comes makes us think, oh, I married the wrong one. This isn't the one. I knew I should have married this one or waited for that one, or so on and so forth. Why have we made effort seem so difficult, or made ourselves think that if they're the perfect person, then they should require no effort? These are all lies that have been fed to us through movies and social media and so on and so forth. But it's not true. It's not that if love is right, it doesn't require effort. It's that if love is right, then it's worth putting the effort in. Everything needs maintenance. See, we never say that a healthy person shouldn't exercise. Or we never say that an intelligent person doesn't need to study. Yet when it comes to marriage, why do we think that it doesn't require any kind of preparation or any kind of maintenance to sustain it? This thinking is flawed. And how we speak matters. How we speak about marriage. You see, we shouldn't make marriage seem very difficult through these jokes, and at the same time we shouldn't make it seem like a fairy tale. No, it requires work. We should speak about marriage how it is. Yes, these youngsters, when they first see each other, they fall in love and so on, and they think that everything's going to be perfect, but we have to prepare them. There will be conflict, there will be dark days, but it's how you move through those days together with honor and respect. And us families and elders, we need to start these conversations with the youth much sooner. And not just say, when are you getting married? That's not a question. The real questions are, what do you think marriage is? What kind of husband or wife do you want to be? What responsibilities come with children? These are the questions that we should be asking. And these need to take place weeks and weeks and weeks before. It shouldn't take weeks before the marriage. It should be years before the marriage. It should start from a young age, where we show them and speak to them about marriage. Now this must be said, all of these things must be said with respect and with intelligence. We are not here to crush anyone or to deny hardships, nor to pretend that every past marriage was healthy. Some people, yes, they misused their role, and some people were absent, and some felt unsupported in marriage, and some families looked traditional, yet inside they were broken. But that's not the reason to abandon the roles and responsibilities that marriage brings. You see, when someone crashes their car, we don't belittle the car and abandon cars altogether. We say maybe the driver was unprepared. Maybe he didn't know how to drive that he crashed the car. And we're not here to mock unmarried people or to shame those in difficult marriages. We're here to clearly say that the family unit is too important to leave undefended, and we must start a healing process. So what's the defense? The defense is to restore marriage as a serious, honorable goal, and to speak about it well and make it visible to our children. Let children see not only the difficult side of marriage, but the beauty, the gratitude, the repair, the respect, the honor between the parents, so that they know that marriage is something that is built together. The defense is to redefine success away from individual goals like money and career and independence and amassing wealth and property. A successful life are not these things. The defense is to teach that sacrifice is not oppression. The defense is to prepare them seriously to talk about marriage and the crises that married couples may face. To have these honest conversations with our youth before they even reach the stage of marrying. The next generation will imitate what they see. If they see marriage is marked by bitterness and chaos, then they will fear it and they will avoid it. But if they see the mercy and the order and the respect and the warmth, then even knowing that it is something hard, they will put the effort in because they know the outcome. The family can be attacked not once it's been formed, but way before it's even formed. But it can also be defended way before it has formed. And that's our duty as elders, as those who are married, as those who have experienced and have seen it and felt it and been through it, to be able to sit and have honest conversations with the youth and prepare them mentally. And let us not wait for our families to break to then take them seriously. Let us raise people who desire marriage and who they themselves want to prepare for it. Strong families are not accidental. They are built through intention, through sacrifice and preparation. If we want strong families in this community, if we want them today, then we had to start working yesterday for it. In other words, we need to put the work in. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين.